Sir Michael Caine, born on March 14, 1933, grew up in an environment where hardship was a constant. His parents, Maurice and Ellen, worked tirelessly to make ends meet. His father worked long hours carrying heavy fish crates, while his mother worked as a cleaner, enduring back pain from the physical labor. They lived in a small, cold, and damp room in a bombed-out part of London, struggling to make it through each day. The war that ravaged the city in 1940 worsened their already difficult life. Michael was just a child when the bombs fell, and the constant threat of death was a part of everyday life. One morning, Michael woke up to find his home had been destroyed by an air raid. The war, in its brutality, had stolen his childhood, leaving a deep scar that would shape him for the rest of his life. The childhood years of abandonment. With the war raging, Michael was sent away to Norfolk for safety, but instead of protection, he found neglect. The family who took him in treated him as a burden, often locking him in a cupboard when they left the house. It was in that cupboard, alone in the dark, that Michael learned the true meaning of loneliness. His mother, however, was determined to bring him back. She broke into the house and took him back, even when the police were called. That moment would stay with Michael forever, as it was a reminder that someone, at least, would always fight for him when the world turned away. His mother's fierce love and sacrifice instilled in him a sense of survival and resilience that would define his life. Michael always credited her with saving his life and showing him that love could transcend even the most desperate circumstances. Life after the war. After the war, Michael's family struggled with poverty. They moved into a small, prefabricated house in Elephant and Castle, where winter brought freezing temperatures and summer was unbearably hot. Despite the harsh living conditions, Michael's family found solace in their togetherness. His father continued working hard, while his mother did everything she could to care for him. However, life was not easy, and Michael's dreams of a better future were often overshadowed by the harsh realities of survival. At just 16, he was forced to leave school and work to help support his family. His jobs ranged from being a clerk to a porter, and he often found himself walking the streets at night because he couldn't afford a bed. Hunger became a familiar companion, but Michael never gave up. Every day was a battle for survival, and the lessons he learned in those early years of hardship would serve him throughout his life. A soldier's return and the struggles that followed. In 1951, Michael joined the Royal Fusiliers and was sent to the Korean War. The cold, the violence, and the loss he witnessed left him with scars that would never heal. After returning to London in 1953, Michael found himself without direction. There were no celebrations for his service, no help for soldiers like him. He returned to small, menial jobs, often going to sleep hungry and without a place to call home. For a while, acting was not even on his radar. It was merely a means of survival, something that provided warmth and hope during an otherwise bleak existence. He joined small theater groups, but the pay was meager and rejection was constant. He was told he wasn't right for the screen, that he was too ordinary and his accent too rough. But despite the constant rejection, Michael kept pushing forward, unwilling to give up on the dream of something better. From struggling actor to rising star. In 1955, tragedy struck when Michael's father died of cancer. At just 22 years old, Michael was devastated, but he didn't have the luxury of time to grieve. He threw himself into his work, promising his father that he would make him proud. It was a promise that, unfortunately, his father never lived to see fulfilled. The next few years were filled with struggle and rejection. However, in 1964, his career began to change. The role of a warrior in Zulu showed the world a side of Michael that had not been seen before. He had an intensity in his eyes that spoke of real battles fought both on and off the screen. But it was in 1966, when he starred in Alfie, that Michael truly became a star. His rough London accent, which had once held him back, now became his greatest strength. His real-life struggles and authenticity resonated with audiences, and fame arrived quickly. The pressure of fame and a new struggle fame arrived for Michael faster than he could have imagined, and it came with its own set of challenges. He was filming relentlessly, sometimes completing as many as 6 movies in a single year. The constant pressure of work left him sleep-deprived, often learning lines on airplanes and fighting exhaustion wherever he went. On the outside, it appeared that he had everything: money, attention, success. But inside, Michael was struggling. The fear of losing everything he had worked for weighed heavily on him. He had escaped poverty, but now he was trapped by the demands of fame. His once clear path had become obscured by the constant noise of the spotlight. The fear of failure became a part of his every day. And then came the failure. The movies started to flop, critics became harsh, and people whispered that his career was over. It was a blow that Michael took deeply. But instead of giving up, he kept fighting. The role in Educating Rita in 1983 marked his comeback and gave him a renewed sense of purpose. The return of confidence, and the Oscar win. In 1986, Michael won his first Oscar for his performance in Hannah and Her Sisters. It was a moment of triumph that was deeply personal to him. As the Oscar was handed to him, he looked up and quietly said, "This is for you, Dad." It wasn't about the victory. It was about keeping the promise he had made years earlier to his father. The win brought Michael a renewed sense of confidence, and from that point on, his career saw a second wind. He continued to take on challenging roles in films like The Cider House Rules, Batman Begins, Inception, and Interstellar. By the 2000s, he had become one of the most respected actors in Hollywood, with a career spanning decades and earning him millions. However, Michael never forgot where he came from. He never took his success for granted, always remembering the days when he had nothing and the people who helped him get to where he was. A life of love, family, and loss. In the early years of his life, Michael's relationships were often marked by struggle and loss. He married Patricia in 1955, but their relationship was strained by the pressures of poverty and survival. Their daughter Dominique was born in 1957, but their marriage ended in 1958. Michael carried guilt for years over the breakup, wishing he could show Patricia the life they once dreamed about together. In 1977, Patricia passed away from lung cancer, and Michael did not attend her funeral, choosing to grieve privately. Later, he had relationships with Natalie Wood and Bianca Jagger, but neither lasted. However, it was in 1971 that Michael found real love. He saw Shakira Bach in a commercial and immediately felt a connection. They married in 1973, and their relationship brought Michael the stability he had longed for. Together, they raised their daughter Natasha, and Shakira became the anchor that kept him grounded. A new chapter of peace and reflection. As Michael entered his later years, his life became quieter and more reflective. He had achieved everything he could have dreamed of, yet he found that peace, not fame or accolades, was what mattered most. Now 92 years old, Michael lives in a comfortable home in Surrey, surrounded by family. His life is filled with small routines: boiling water for tea, reading the paper, and spending time with his grandchildren. Though he still struggles with the pain in his back and his aging body, he continues to move forward, determined to live each day with the same resilience he's always had. Michael has learned that strength isn't about standing tall. It's about standing at all. He no longer chases fame or success, but cherishes the people he loves. His greatest role now is that of a survivor, one who has endured war, loss, and heartache, and yet continues to find joy in each new day.